Hi everyone, welcome to the series of lectures on signals and systems. In the last class we have completed the definition of Fourier transforms and the representation, the formulae used for the calculations, and at the end, so I will give you the relation between the Laplace transforms and the Fourier transforms. So up to the last class we completed the definition and the formulae. In this class we are going to discuss the very important conditions which are your Dirichlet's conditions. So I already told you in the case of Fourier series, these conditions I already explained in the case of Fourier series. What is Fourier series? It is only applicable for the periodic signals, and also the signal must satisfy the three conditions which are your Dirichlet's conditions. So I explained these Dirichlet's conditions in part 2 of your Fourier series lectures. If you recollect the part 2 of your Fourier series lectures, there I explained the Dirichlet's conditions which are very important. With the help of graphs I explained those conditions, and the same conditions holds good for in the case of Fourier transforms also. In the case of Fourier transforms also, the same conditions are applicable. Those conditions are called Dirichlet's conditions. So for Fourier transforms, it is applicable to aperiodic signals. Fourier series is only applicable to periodic signals. So in addition to periodic signal, so it must satisfy three conditions. Here also, in addition to aperiodic signal, so it will satisfy three conditions which are your Dirichlet's conditions. Now in the case of Fourier transforms, so these are your Dirichlet's conditions. So I have written here three Dirichlet's conditions. Number one is signal should have finite number of maxima and minima over finite interval of time. So these conditions are same with respect to the Fourier series. In the Fourier series also, this is the first condition. What is the condition? Signal should have finite number of maxima and minima. So maxima and minima I explained already in the case of Fourier series. What is maxima and what is minima? There we consider the time period. Signal should have finite number of maxima and minima over the range of time period. So in the case of Fourier series, we consider the time period is the range to calculate the maxima and minima. But in the case of Fourier transforms, since Fourier transforms is applicable to aperiodic signals, so there is no definition of period in the case of aperiodic signals. Therefore here we consider the finite interval is the time period. Time period is the interval. So over the finite interval, the signal should have maxima and minima, finite number of maxima and minima. So that is your condition 1. I already explained this condition in the case of Fourier series with the help of the graphs. Same condition holds good for Fourier transforms also, but the difference is in the case of Fourier series, so we consider this maxima and minima over the range of the time period, So but in the case of Fourier transforms, it is applicable to aperiodic signals, so there is no concept of period in the aperiodic signals. Therefore we consider the finite time interval. So if you consider the finite time interval, so in that finite time interval, the signal should have maxima and minima, finite maxima and minima. That is your Dirichlet condition 1. Next, when it comes to the second condition, so signal should have finite number of discontinuities. So I explained already the concept of discontinuities in the case of Fourier series. There we have studied elaborately all these conditions. Same conditions once again I will repeat for the Fourier transforms also. So signal should have finite number of discontinuities over the finite interval of time. Here I considered only the finite interval of time is the time period, is the range of time. Why? Because it is applicable to the aperiodic signals. For aperiodic signals, we do not need the time period. No need to define the time period. Therefore, I consider the finite interval of time. So the same concept in the Fourier series I explained with the graphs. There we consider the finite range of time period. Over the finite range of time period, the signal should have finite number of discontinuities. Here also, over the finite interval of time, the signal should have the finite number of discontinuities. So this is your second condition of Dirichlet. Now what is the third condition? Third condition is very important. The signal should be absolutely integrable. The signal should be absolutely integrable. The meaning of this statement is, suppose x of t is your signal. So the signal should be absolutely integrable means, so if you integrate your signal over the range of minus infinity to plus infinity, so you should get always less than infinity value. You should get always the finite value. You should always get the finite value. Your integration of your signal in this range minus infinity to plus infinity always have a finite value. So that is the meaning of the absolutely integrable. That is the meaning of absolutely integrable statement. So third condition is very important condition. Signal should be absolutely integrable. Then only the Fourier transforms is applicable for the continuous time periodic signal. So in the last class, so I explained the formula of Fourier transform. What is the Fourier transform of x of t? So if you want to apply the Fourier transforms for the continuous time signal, this signal must be absolutely integrable. That means when you integrate this signal in between minus infinity to plus infinity, you should get a finite value. Otherwise, we cannot apply the Fourier transforms for such type of signals. That is the meaning of this statement. Signal should be absolutely integrable. So what is your Fourier transform of x of t? So it is equal to x of j omega. So what is the formula? Integral minus infinity to plus infinity. Here we have x of t and e power minus j omega t, so dt. So this is your Fourier transform of x of t. Your time domain signal is converted into frequency domain. That is your x of j omega. So x of j omega equal to integral minus infinity to plus infinity x of t into e power minus j omega t dt. So if you want to apply Fourier transform of a continuous time aperiodic signal, the signal x of t here must be absolutely integrable. Must be absolutely integrable. That means if you integrate this signal in the range of minus infinity to plus infinity, you should get a finite value. You should get a finite value. Otherwise, this formula is not holds good. This formula holds good only whenever your signal x of t is absolutely integrable. So you should remember this point. Whenever we are going to apply a Fourier transform for a signal, the signal must be absolutely integrable. So when you integrate that signal, you should get a finite value. You should get a finite value. That means you should get 2, 3 like that, not infinity. If you get infinity means we cannot apply the Fourier transform for that aperiodic signal. So that is the meaning of the third statement. Now I write here one important note. So let us observe this note, very important note. So whatever the conditions I have given here, I have given 3 conditions. So these conditions are sufficient conditions. These conditions are sufficient but not necessary conditions. All of you observe here clearly. So whatever the conditions I have given here, so these conditions are sufficient. So the signal may or may not satisfy these conditions. May or may not satisfy these conditions. If satisfy, then it's okay. So if not also, the Fourier transform still holds good for some signals. For some signals, there are some exceptional signals are there. For those signals also, so in spite of failure of one of the conditions, we still apply the Fourier transform for those signals. Those are called special type of signals. That's why I write here these conditions are sufficient but not necessary. No need to follow all these conditions. No need to follow all these conditions. I explained this point here. These conditions are sufficient but not necessary. Suppose if I consider a signal like this, you can easily recognize after this that point. Suppose if I consider a signal, a periodic signal like this, so your x of t is equal to u of t. So x of t equal to u of t. U of t is what? This is an aperiodic signal. So this is an aperiodic signal. So this is the representation of your x of u of t. So this is your u of t. It is defined from 0 to infinity. So its magnitude is 1. Its magnitude is 1. So from minus infinity to 0, its value is 0. So therefore this is an aperiodic signal. Now if you want to apply Fourier transform for this signal, so what are the conditions? The signal must satisfy these three conditions. Now if you observe this signal u of t, so is this signal is absolutely integrable signal or not? Is this signal u of t is absolutely integrable signal or not? First point is it is having the finite maxima and minima over the finite time interval. Suppose if I consider the time interval 0 to 2, so it is having finite number of maxima and minima. So during the interval 0 to 2, so it is having only two values, 0 and 1, finite number of maxima and minima. So for this interval range, for any finite time interval you need to consider. Condition 1 is satisfied by this signal. Now what is the condition 2? Signal should have finite number of discontinuities over the finite interval of time. Again I consider 0 to 2 is the time interval, finite time interval. Now what is the discontinuity here? So this is your discontinuity 1. The signal at 0 suddenly jumps from 0 to 1. This is your point of discontinuity. So this is your point of discontinuity. So during the interval 0 to 2, only we have one number of discontinuity. So that is your finite. So finite number of discontinuities over the finite interval of time the signal should have u of t. Now what is the third condition? Third condition is signal should be absolutely integrable. Now is this signal is absolutely integrable signal or not? So definitely not. If you integrate this signal minus infinity to plus infinity, so u of t dt, so what is the value you will get? So we will get absolute infinity value. So what is the meaning of integration? Area under the curve is nothing but integration. This is defined up to infinity. So up to infinity its value is 1. Now what about the area under the 1? So area under the 1 is what? Up to infinity. So it is infinity value. It is infinity value. That means what? That means what? This signal is not absolutely integrable signal. When you integrate this signal, over the range minus infinity to plus infinity, over the range minus infinity to plus infinity, so you should get a finite value. So that is absolutely integrable. But if you integrate this unit step, so we will get what? We will get infinity value. Because the area under the curve is infinity, because it is defined up to infinity value. So this is magnitude is 1 is defined up to the infinity value. When you calculate the area under this 1, you will get absolutely infinity value. That means what? This signal is not absolutely integrable signal. So whenever this signal is not absolutely integrable, so we cannot apply the Fourier transforms for such type of signals. It is not possible to obtain the Fourier transforms. With the help of this formula. That means it fails the your Dirichlet condition 3. So even though if it fails the third condition, we still find out the Fourier transform of your u of t. So if you want to apply the Fourier transform of u of t, you just use this formula. So if you want to use this formula, here the condition is x of t must be absolutely integrable. but your x of t is not absolutely integrable here in this case, because it is, when you calculate the area under the your curve, you should get infinity value. Whenever you should get infinity value, this, whatever the formula I was given for the Fourier transform, so using that formula we cannot find out the Fourier transform. We cannot find out the Fourier transform. It is not possible to find out the Fourier transform of u of t using this formula. So if you want to find the Fourier transform of x of t using this formula, the condition, very very important condition, is your x of t, that is your aperiodic signal, must be absolutely integrable. Otherwise this formula is not true. If the signal is absolutely integrable, not absolutely integrable, this formula fails. We cannot find out its Fourier transforms by using this formula. That means what? The signal fails the condition number 3 of Dirichlet's condition. So even though the signal fails the condition number 3, we still find out the Fourier transform of u of t. So that's why I wrote here a separate note. So whatever the conditions Dirichlet is given, those conditions are sufficient only, but not necessary conditions. The signal may fail one or two conditions of the Dirichlet. So even though the signal fails, the Fourier transform of that signal, still we can find out the Fourier transform of that signal. So I explained this concept in the later course of this subject, how we are going to find out the Fourier transform of u of t, which is not the absolutely integrable signal. So you can just remember this formula. Fourier transform of u of t is nothing but, so in this way we will get the Fourier transform of u of t. So pi times delta of omega. So this is the Fourier transform of this unit step function. So if you find out Fourier transform of u of t using this formula, we cannot determine its Fourier transform. So there is a separate procedure is there to find the Fourier transform of signals which are not absolutely integrable. So I explained that after the few classes. I explained this. So very very important, which is your Fourier transform of u of t, which is not absolutely integrable signal. So if you find out the Fourier transform of u of t using this formula, so suppose if I find out this Fourier transform using this formula, so what I can get here is, here u of x of t is what? U of t e power minus j omega t dt. So you can realize here. Now what is u of t? In between minus infinity to 0, u of t is 0. Therefore no need to write minus infinity to 0. So write 0 to infinity. So in 0 to infinity, what is your u of t? 1. So 1 into e power minus j omega t dt. Now what is the integral e power minus j omega t dt? So it is nothing but e power minus j omega t by minus j omega. So that is your integration result. I calculate the Fourier transform using this formula. So what are the limits? So limits are 0 to infinity. Those are the limits. Now apply the limits. So minus 1 by j omega. So you left out minus 1 by j omega. So you substitute the upper limit. So what we will get? E power minus j. So omega into infinity. In the place of t, you substitute the upper limit, which is infinity. Infinity into omega is nothing but infinity minus e power. You substitute the lower limit in the place of time, e power minus 0. Now what is the e power minus j infinity? So what is the value of e power minus j infinity? So what is e power j infinity? So it is nothing but cos infinity minus j sin infinity. So that is your e power infinity value, e power minus j infinity value. Now you observe here. So can we define the infinity value? Can we define the infinity value? Even though the cos and sine is having the values in between -1 to 1, in between -1 to 1, whatever the value inside our cos and sine, always it is ranging from -1 to 1. It is ranging from -1 to 1. But when how can we substitute the value of infinity? How can you find out the value of infinity? Infinity is undefined. Here infinity is undefined. We cannot predict the value of infinity. So our infinity is undefined. Whenever the infinity is undefined, how can you find out this e power minus j infinity? So it is not possible. It is not possible. You can clearly observe here. Your signal x of t, which is equal to u of t, is not absolutely integrable signal. So I told you already. So whenever the signal is not absolutely integrable, this formula is not true. This formula is true only for absolutely integrable signals only. So whenever the signal is absolutely integrable, this formula is not true. So you can evident here. You can easily evident here. I just take this formula and do the procedure. Finally, what I can get? I can get the undefined function. I can get the undefined function. So the reason is your u of t is not absolutely integrable signal. Absolutely integrable signal. So even though it is not absolutely integrable signal, we still find out its Fourier transform by a separate method. Therefore, even though the signal fails the condition number 3 of Dirichlet, the Fourier transform for from special signals still holds good. Therefore, I write here the note is the Fourier transforms, whatever the conditions given by the Dirichlet, all conditions are sufficient conditions but are not necessary. The signal may fail one or two conditions. Still its Fourier transform we can find out by a separate method. We can find out its Fourier transform. So like in this example, the Fourier transform of your u of t is nothing but 1 by j omega plus pi times delta of omega. So these are nothing but the Dirichlet's conditions. Whatever the conditions I explained in the part 2 of Fourier series, with the help of graphs I explained everything. All these points, all these conditions, all these three conditions I explained with the help of the graphs. Those conditions once again repeat for the Fourier transforms also. These conditions are called Dirichlet's conditions. So in the case of Fourier series, I consider over the finite range of time period. There I consider the finite time period because Fourier series applicable to only periodic signals. For a periodic signal, we find out the period. So over the range of time period, we calculate the maxima and minima. So if we calculate the maxima and minima, if we get the finite value, the Fourier series or Fourier transform is applicable for that signals. So if you get the finite number of discontinuous, the Fourier transforms is applicable for those signals. So if the signal is absolutely integrable, then Fourier transform is applicable. So even though the signal fails any one of the conditions given by the Dirichlet, still its Fourier transforms is applicable for certain special signals. So in that u of t is there. So we still find out its Fourier transform even though it fails one of the Dirichlet's conditions. Therefore, these conditions are not necessary conditions but are sufficient. So if the signal satisfy all these conditions, then it's okay. But even though it fails one of the conditions, no bother about the conditions. Therefore, I can write here these are sufficient but not necessary. You should remember this point. So in the case of Fourier series, Dirichlet's conditions are very important. But in the case of Fourier transform, these Dirichlet's conditions are not that much important because Fourier transform is applicable to aperiodic signals. So this is about the Dirichlet's conditions. Three important conditions. So next I am going to start the new topic on the Fourier transforms, which is your properties of Fourier transforms. So these properties are very important. So if you want to solve the problems, so in the simplest way, we need to remember all the properties. All these properties are on our fingertips. If we want to solve the problems in an easiest way, we need to understand and remember the all the properties of the Fourier transform. Already I told you these properties. So in the case of Fourier series, whatever the properties we studied in the case of Fourier series, same properties repeats once again, all these properties. So first property I am going to explain you is the Parseval's energy theorem. Parseval's energy theorem. So this is very important theorem, Parseval's energy theorem. So in the case of Fourier series, so we have Parseval's power theorem. To find out the average power of the signal, we use the Parseval's power theorem. So what is the Parseval's power theorem in the case of Fourier series? How can you define? If x of t is a continuous time periodic signal, so its complex exponential Fourier series coefficient is Cn, then the average power of the signal we can find out using this formula. So using this formula, n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity mod Cn square. So using this formula we can easily find out the average power of the continuous time signal if you know its complex exponential Fourier series coefficient. That is your Parseval's power theorem. Similar theorem we are using here, but here we have to find the energy. of the signal. So this is Parseval's energy theorem. First I will give the statement. So after that we prove this statement. So the statement is like this. See, if x of t is a continuous time aperiodic signal and its Fourier transform is x of j omega. This is the Fourier transform of x of t, and if you apply inverse Fourier transform, you will get a time domain signal. If you apply Fourier transform of continuous time signal, you will get x of j omega. So if x of t Fourier transforms is x of j omega, that means x of j omega is given to you. If x of j omega is given to you, then the energy of the signal can be obtained. By using this x of j omega, using this formula, integral minus infinity to plus infinity mod x of j omega whole square d omega. So this is the statement for Parseval's energy theorem. So if Fourier transform of x of t is x of j omega, that means x of j omega is given to you. We can easily find out the energy of the signal using this formula. This is very important formula to find the energy of the signal. If x of j omega is given to you, directly using this formula we can find out the energy of the signal, which is your 1 by 2 pi integral minus infinity to plus infinity mod x of j omega whole square d omega. So using this formula we can directly find out the energy of the signal. So in the case of Fourier series, if Cn is given to you, so using this formula we can easily find out the average power of the signal. How can you prove this one? Now when it comes to the proof, so to prove this one, already you know how to calculate the energy of the signal. In the case of energy and power signals, so I explained you to calculate the energy of the signal, you just use this formula. So mod x of t whole square, so dt. So using this formula we can find out the energy of the signal. In the case of energy and power signals, I explained how to calculate the energy and how to calculate the power of the continuous time signal. So I just write the formula for energy of the signal here, integral minus infinity to plus infinity mod x of t whole square. This is the formula used to calculate the energy of the continuous time signal. energy of the continuous time signal. I already told you in the case of Parseval's power theorem, how can you write mod x of t whole square? How can you write mod x of t whole square? So mod x of t is nothing but x of t into x conjugate of t. I already told you in the case of Parseval's power theorem how we are going to write mod x of t whole square. Here what is your x of t? So your x of t is what? So 1 by 2 pi, so integral minus infinity to plus infinity, so x of j omega into e power, so j omega t d omega. So that is your x of t. Now if you apply conjugate on both sides of this expression, so I can rewrite here minus infinity to plus infinity. So x mod x of t whole square is nothing but x of t into x conjugate of t dt. Now I just replace this x conjugate of t. So using this expression, you already know x of t, the formula for x of t. Now you just apply conjugate on both sides of this expression. So what we will get? So we will get x of t is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral minus infinity to plus infinity. So x of j omega conjugate is x conjugate of j omega. E power j omega t conjugate is what? So e power minus j omega t into d omega. Now you just replace x conjugate of t by this expression. So in this energy formula, so what we will get? So we will get minus infinity to plus infinity. So your x of t is here. So what about x conjugate of t? So x conjugate of t is nothing but 1 by 2 pi, so integral minus infinity to plus infinity. So x conjugate of j omega, so e power minus j omega t d omega. Now you are rearranging this expression. So let me take 1 by 2 pi outside. So 1 by 2 pi, I will bring out outside 1 by 2 pi, and also so bring out integral minus infinity to plus infinity. So x conjugate of j omega d omega, like that. So into remaining is integral minus infinity to plus infinity here, integral minus infinity to plus infinity x of t. I just rearranging the above expression like this, e power minus j omega t. Here we have dt is there, j omega t dt. Now what we will get? So what is this expression? So what is this expression? This is nothing but Fourier transform of x of t. So what is the Fourier transform of x of t? So integral minus infinity to plus infinity, here x conjugate of j omega. Now what is this entire expression? So this entire expression is nothing but Fourier transform of your x of t. So what is Fourier transform of x of t? So it is nothing but x of j omega. So this entire expression is replaced by x of j omega into d omega. We have d omega here. Now you tell me x conjugate of omega into x of j omega is what? So I can write the above expression, integral minus infinity to plus infinity mod x of j omega, mod x of j omega whole square into d omega. So that is the energy of the signal. If x of j omega is given to you, so you can usually find out the energy of the signal using this formula. I just rearranging the expression. So in this expression I just rearranging the expression. Here we have dt is there. So integral in minus infinity to plus infinity x of t into x conjugate of t dt. So mod x of t whole square can be written in this form. Here I replace x conjugate of t by this expression. Just I replace the x conjugate of t by this expression. Later I rearranging the expression. This expression I can rearranging so that I can get x conjugate of j omega into x of j omega d omega. Already you know x conjugate of j omega into x of j omega is nothing but mod x of j omega whole square d omega. So 1 by 2 pi is there already. So this is the formula used to calculate the energy of the signal directly if the Fourier transform of x of t is given to you, that is x of j omega is given to you. Its energy is nothing but 1 by 2 pi integral minus infinity plus infinity mod x of j omega whole square d omega. This is nothing but the Parseval's energy theorem. This is nothing but the Parseval's energy theorem. So this is all for this class. See you in the next class.